On the job number 1. So Jake is planning to travel to New Zealand, and they're estimating that he's going to need about $125 a week, and he plans to be there for 6 weeks. Now he needs 125 New Zealand dollars. I don't know if they call them dollars in New Zealand. I would guess that that's what they call them. But if we took 6 times 125, we get that he needs 750 New Zealand dollars for 6 weeks. Because we're told that he needs this amount per week, and he's going to be there for 6 weeks. Now, down here, they're telling us that 1 New Zealand dollar is about 80 cents, or that 1 Canadian dollar is about $1.23 in New Zealand dollars. So the first thing I want you to think about is, for 750 New Zealand dollars, will the Canadian equivalent be more than 750 or less than 750? If 1 New Zealand dollar is 80 cents Canadian, will the amount in Canadian, what do you think? Do you think it'll be more or less? So you think it's going to be less. So now, if we wanted to estimate it, what would you think? If it's 80 cents for 1, 750, what would your estimate be? So we want to say that New Zealand $750 is about, you think it's about $1 Canadian, $100 Canadian, $500 Canadian, $20 Canadian? So some things you can do for estimates. If you know that $1 is 80 cents, 100 New Zealand dollars would be, if $1 is 80 cents, 100 would be 80, about $80. So 750, if every 100 New Zealand dollars is 80, well, 750, you could say, well, that's going to be 80 plus 80 plus 80 plus 80 plus 80 plus 80 plus 80. 7 times, right? Because that's $700. So that's 7 times 80 is 560. Maybe we're going to guess that this is around $600 as an estimate. Sometimes it's really nice to be able to estimate just to get an idea quickly, but then we can always go to our proportions if we want to find out exactly how much he's going to need. So we want to find out how much Canadian. We know that he needs 750 in New Zealand dollars. We have our exchange, and they give you 2 exchanges here, and you can decide to use either one. If you use the first one, we have Canadian dollars on top. So on the top of our fraction, we'll put 0.806441. And on the bottom of our fraction, we'll say that that's equal to 1 New Zealand dollar. How do we solve our ratio? We'd have to multiply both sides by how much? 750 times by 750. Go to your calculator. $604.83. So we set up our proportion again, and then we can calculate how much it's going to be worth for 6 weeks. If he wants to budget about 80 Canadian a week for entertainment and snacks, in 6 weeks, how much money would that be? 6 times 80. He's saying, I want to take about $480 Canadian for my entertainment and my snacks. How much in New Zealand would that be? So now, when we're setting up our proportion, we want to find out the amount in New Zealand dollars, so that's what we don't know. We know that we have 480 Canadian dollars. On this side, we need to put New Zealand dollars on the top and Canadian dollars on the bottom. Again, you can use either one of these values. Often when people are changing from Canadian to New Zealand, they like the one where the Canadian one is 1 and the New Zealand one is a different number. And when you're changing from New Zealand money to Canadian money, you like the top one. But it really doesn't matter because you're going to get the same answer either way. But if we use this one here on the bottom, we know that 1.23994 is equal to 1 Canadian dollar. Now that we set up our proportion, to solve for x, you would need to multiply both sides by 480. That would cancel those out, multiply by 480. So on this side, you have 1.23994 divided by 1 times by 480. $595.17. So that's how much money he would get and be able to spend while he's there. All right, so the first part of this question here, she's deciding to convert the rest of her trip savings. How much money does she have left? Jordan? $675. So we take our $1,650 and you'd subtract the $975, and she has $675 left. So that's what she wants to convert to Mexican pesos. So we want to find out how much money in Mexican she's going to have for 675 Canadian. Notice how they always put the country in the front so you know which currency you're talking about. Well, for our exchange rate, and again, you can choose either one of those. So I'm going to put 12.0855 because that's our Mexican. And on the bottom in Canadian, it's equal to 1. So our proportion is set up, and now if we multiply both sides by 675, what do we get as an answer? 55. Mexican amount. Yeah. 8,000. What was it? 8,000? 8,157. And how many cents? 0.71 when you round it. So that's how many pesos you would have. Makes you feel rich. You started with 675, now you got 8,000.
That's not the way I set mine up, but I got that answer.
Yeah, and did you set it up with the other, this one here?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it will work out to be the same answer.
Oh. Okay.
So it doesn't, they'll often give you 2 different exchanges, but they're going to give you the same answer once you set up your proportion. That's the nice thing about setting up a proportion, is it takes out the worry of which is the better one to use and how should I use it, because it won't matter which one. At the end of her trip, she has 1,630 pesos left. How much is that in Canadian dollars? So we want to find out how much in Canadian, and we know we have 1,630 left. And so, in changing this, you can pick either one. If you want to use the 12.0855 again, or if you want to use the other one, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to use the other one this time. 0.0827437 is 1 Mexican peso. And then when you multiply both sides, did you get how much? $134.87. That is correct. Excellent.